It's about 6 weeks to go before South Africans head to the polls, and there seems to be a drive from the IEC to get as many young people educated around the importance of voting. Let's get more details on how the IEC is doing this. Joining us is the IEC's General Manager for Civic and Democracy Education, Moagisi Sibanda. Ms. Sibanda, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. So the IEC has launched the School Democracy Program in Gauteng today, but before we get to today's event, though, just talk us through the program and its history.
Yes, so the program does have history. So it's not that we are doing it for the first time. It is called the Schools Democracy Program, and it's one of our flagship programs that targets young people from foundation phase at school all the way up to matric. And it's a program that's been run for a number of years. We started having this collaboration with the Department of Basic Education in 2019. And we've just renewed, in fact, our MOU with them in March 2024 to continue the program for another 5 years. And we do see this as something that will go beyond, because democracy education is something that is very, very important to really put into place for young people, so that by the time they are able to vote, they're much more au fait with what democracy means, with rights and responsibilities, with how the whole voting process actually works, so that, you know, they also have a sense of the duty to vote.
If you had to break it down for us, just at the school level, how is this particular responsibility relayed to them?
So every year in April, we launch the Schools Democracy Program, and we do it in April because April is Freedom Month in commemoration of the first elections 30 years ago. And so we go into schools and we do our voter education interventions. So that means really teaching learners about, you know, the full spectrum of democracy. What does it mean? What does participation mean? What does the IEC do? Because that's also important to have an understanding of what is the mandate of the IEC in facilitating elections, registering for elections. We also register young people when registration is open, so that those who are eligible can join the voters' roll and are prepared. We conduct mock elections, and so we give them the experience of the whole voting process by setting up a voting station. And we did so today at our launch in Alexandra, at Alexandra Secondary School. We had the young people demonstrating to fellow learners what the whole voting process looks like, what is the roles and responsibilities of all the officials within the voting station, presiding officer, party agents, observers, what it is you can expect, the 3 ballots, which are an important thing for us to communicate. But it is a project and is not something new, but it's something we're committed to continue doing as the Commission and the DBE.
No, that's quite impressive. But how's the reception been among the young people?
The reception is always great. Young people really enjoy IEC and DBE coming to visit them and inform them about, you know, their country issues and how it is that they can participate. It's really important to show young people that democracy isn't something that is living outside of them, but it's something that they are needing to understand from a very young age and therefore participate in. But also we have developed teacher manuals with DBE, so that teachers are able to teach the subject of voter education in schools, even when the Commission or DBE is not able to do those interventions. But as I say, whether it's an election year or not, this is a program that has been carrying on for many years.
Now, given that it's been carrying on for many years, are you able to perhaps look at the current registered voters database insofar as perhaps the 18 to 19 age group is concerned and see that what you're doing on the ground is actually working?
Yes. In fact, you know, in this registration drive ahead of the elections, we started our program early with DBE. So we started going to schools early as January and February, doing a registration drive so that we encourage as many eligible 16-year-old as well as obviously the 18-year-olds to be on the voters' roll, so that when the time comes for them to be able to vote, they're already on the voters' roll. And we did see an increase. At the moment, in that 18 to 19 category, we've got over 500 young people who are on the voters' roll, and we wish to obviously increase that as the years come. because research does say once they are registered, they do tend to show up and vote. And once they voted once, they continue to vote in their lifetime.
Moagisi, you mentioned that number. It's around 560,000 that are registered in that 18 to 19 group. But interestingly, it is the least. And one would have thought the 80 plus would have been the least. But here, even they've surpassed the young people. What are we to read into just those figures, where you have the 80 plus seeming to participate more than these young ones?
Yes. So again, it's about research. People who have voted before tend to continue voting. But also research has shown us that young people in particular are very much feeling disaffected and distrusting, because based on the socioeconomic realities and bread and butter issues that they're faced with. That is what is turning them away from participating in elections, and not so much processes, because those that are surveyed on voting day in terms of a satisfaction rate the whole process much higher than those who've never experienced it and those who have who don't see the value of it. And so, although they are the smallest and we do have an aging voters roll, we are very much committed to ensuring through programs like the Schools Democracy Program, through programs such as our tertiary institutions program, where we go to tertiary institutions around the country, to keep engaging young people on the issues and for them to be part of the solutions when it comes to the challenges that they're facing, so that we bring back engagement and participation of young people in our democracy.
So how's the provincial rollout plan across the nation? Have you been able to access other schools? Like you said, you've been in Alexandra today. Have you been able to access other schools outside of the Gauteng province of late?
Absolutely. The program is a nationwide program. So all the provinces will also be having their launch events this week as well as next week, which is our focus week. But the program does carry on, Fundo, all the way to September. We just heighten activity around April because it's Freedom Month and it's a good time to engage young people. We're celebrating 30 years of democracy next week. And so we use that month to kickstart the program. But we continue visiting schools all around the country in all the different provinces up until September, when exams would then begin. Last year, maybe just to give you some insight, we were able to reach close to 150,000 learners and registered close to 25,000 young people on the voters roll through this intervention of the Schools Democracy Program. So it is yielding results. And of course, as the years go by, we will continue the program so that we grow even more and reach as many young people as possible at school level.
All right, Moagisi, thank you very much for your time this evening. That was IEC Civic and Democracy Education Research and Knowledge Management, or rather General Manager Moagisi Sibanda.